A word cloud is like a histogram in that it reflects the frequency, in this case, of words being used. So to analyze it, let's go ahead and open up ChatGPT and make sure we have set a new chat. And next thing we want to do is just download the data. So let's go ahead and download the data and we'll hit enter. And so you can see these are attributes of my best university class. You can see what these look like. These are actually from a real classroom, and so we can see what that looks like, and now we're going to be able to take a look at that. Let's go ahead and ask it to provide the last 5 lines of data. So let's go ahead and do that. And so as we provide these last 5 lines of data, we're going to see what this looks like and just see what I often like to do this just to be able to see that it has incorporated all of the analysis. Okay, so you can see what this looks like, and we're able to see that. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and create a bar chart that shows how many times each word was used. Now, I want it to be very specific. I don't want it to use the word class or course necessarily. I don't want it to have pronouns, conjunctions, prepositions. I want the bars to be very specific, so this would be a specific hue. And I want it to show the count. Now I could specify less, but I might not get exactly what I want. So here's going to be a bar chart of the various words that are used. And this is kind of one way of seeing the frequency. Now this may or may not be useful. And so we'll just take a look and see what it shows. So here are the most frequently used words. So best and professor and great and university and interesting and course, loved, learning, and so forth. And I suspect it goes on and on. Here's where it says 5, but is included there. So excluded the word class, remove these, put them in descending order, and all of those look good. So we may not just want the top 15 words, we may want to include all words. So at that point we're going to go off this grid and see what that looks like. The next thing we're going to do is create a word cloud. And so let's go ahead and say we want a word cloud based on the frequency of the words. And then we're going to give it kind of the same information and make the size of the words correspond to the frequency of the word usage. And so this should create a word cloud for us that we're able to see. You know, as we've done some of this, you know, we may want to make sure we understand what the stop words are, make sure that there aren't any interesting pronouns or whatever, but you can kind of see what this looks like. We may want to say, hey, let's take out the word great and best because that might have been reflected in there. But this shows a word cloud based on the frequency, so best would show up more than interesting would show up more than helped. And so we could ask it to write a memo summarizing the findings that it has found, and so this will kind of provide a baseline experience. It shows what it did, what's most used interpretation, which may be right or wrong. It doesn't necessarily know the context, but this might be a starting point that we could use. Next, we're going to ask it to display the prompts that I use in the prompt. I often will assign it a name like you in this chat, even though as far as I know ChatGPT is not a person, but you could just say I gave in this chat instead. But there's those, and then we have an optional step just to go ahead and output this as a file in a word chart, or to output the bar chart there. Now we certainly could go up here and just download this information, but I found that in general that doesn't provide a descriptive, just look in this and start. Okay, so there's the output, right? So I'd like something a little more descriptive than the output. So that's why I specify a little more. So that completes this lab.